Lore Friendly, first episode of 2020.
Yeah, buddy. New decade, new me.
This is only your, third new decade? I'm not sure what the math is on that.
Yeah, I was born in 1990, so that was my first decade. Then 2000s, 2010s. This is my fourth new decade.
Oh, wow.
I've lived in four decades.
Middle-aged, basically.
I feel it. I feel it.
So, what are we excited about this new year?
World War III. World War III's kind of gone by, hasn't it? Like, I thought we were going to open the new year with a bang.
Yeah, literally.
And it didn't happen. So I'm glad that I didn't put money on it. I read a story about one guy who put money on World War III happening.
Oh, no.
By, like, the 10th of January.
No, it's...
Been and gone.
It was just a meme. I mean, there's people like who it actually has consequences, all this endless forever wars, but we're privileged, so
oh, yeah.
We're fine.
We're privileged. We're living in the West.
Yeah, so it doesn't really affect us, but it was mostly just a meme, like World War III. It was people on Twitter.
I don't know. It could have potentially escalated. You've got to bear in mind who our new Prime Minister is, who actually has the parliamentary power now to do things.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going into the new year strong, aren't we?
Nobody's insane as our president, so we've got you one up there.
Let's just not get into that, Chris. I could do a whole political podcast.
Speaking of memes, you're a fan of history. I came across an interesting fact the other day.
You are correct. I am a fan of history. Hit me with your fact.
Although it's not really a fact, it's more of a factoid. You know, like a humanoid isn't a real human. It's kind of just a facsimile of a human. So it's more like a factoid. Yeah. No one knows for sure, because no one knows for sure how Genghis Khan...
It's the facsimile of a fact.
Yes. No one knows for sure how Genghis Khan died. The great Genghis Khan, the evil conqueror.
Yeah.
Killed millions, sired millions of babies. We all have his DNA.
Isn't like a third of the world's population directly genetically linked to him in some way or
We're probably related in some way, because we probably both have Mongolian heritage, because everybody does. There's a 33% chance, as you said. But did you know that one of the theories of how he died, I forget his name, who did the... Marco Polo. Okay, so Marco Polo's theory...
Marco Polo. I don't even know what Marco Polo is.
He's a guy, I think...
Like the game. No, the game. All I know is that it got referenced in Uncharted 2? Uncharted 3, maybe?
You do it in a pool, right? Where like one person has his eyes closed and... he says Marco, and then the person he's trying to tag, they say Polo, like the people he's trying to tag.
Oh, is it like echolocation?
Yeah.
With what submarines do? Oh, God, that makes so much sense.
So I say Marco, and you say
Polo.
And then I hear your voice, and I realize that you are somewhere in Nottingham.
It makes so much sense. Oh, my God.
I just use echolocation right now.
This isn't even your fact.
It's not my fact.
But I've learned something already.
And you're going to learn another thing. So Marco Polo, famed inventor of the Marco Polo game, he theorized, or he stated in his sort of like books or whatever, in his fan fiction, whatnot, that Genghis Khan died from an arrow to the knee.
You what, mate?
So
what?
The greatest conqueror in human history was killed by a fucking meme. Killed by a Skyrim meme, no less.
Oh my God, that is so appropriate for like how our world is going.
Pretty much, because everything is memeable now, even death and destruction.
An arrow to the knee. I suppose an arrow to the knee is less dramatic, in fact, than the way that our last purely independent king went down. So Battle of Hastings, 1066, I think it was Harold Harada. He had like held on to the throne of England for like 3 days. And he was killed at the Battle of Hastings by William the Conqueror with an arrow to the eye.
Oh.
Which is a bit more dramatic. It's on the Bayeux Tapestry and stuff. It's pretty cool. It's just arrows in weird places. Like, I bet you there's a king who's died to an arrow to the butt.
That would be a good place to take an arrow. There's a lot of padding there, I think.
I don't know. Not with my white ass.
But it would be strange, I think, dying from an arrow to the knee, like, because there's a kneecap there. There's, like, bones and stuff. I don't know.
It'd be infection, wouldn't it? It's not going to be immediate blood loss. It's going to be infection, getting gangrenous, getting all growths and infection, and then it'd probably turn into like some sort of blood
Yeah.
infection, which would swoop all around the body and kill
So
him.
if I'm like the bacteria who killed Genghis Khan, Chinggis Khan, I think is how it's supposed to be pronounced, but Genghis is how everybody knows it. But if I were the bacteria that killed him, I would be kind of mad that this arrow is taking all the credit. It wasn't the arrow, it was me.
It's like, no, it's my bacteria. It's me.
Me and all my clones, because bacteria just fucking multiply like mad, so.
This is probably a really stupid question, but does anybody know where Genghis Khan's actual body is? Because that would be the easiest way
No,
to
they
prove
don't.
it.
Like, okay, see, this is
Well,
this
there
is
we
the
go.
other wild, like, crazy fact I learned. So,
Did he get kidnapped by aliens?
possibly, who knows? But if he did, he would have had him killed before they buried him, because basically he had a funeral, and there was like 1,000 people or whatever, and 900 of those people who witnessed the funeral were killed, so they wouldn't know the location. Those 100 left over carried his tomb to a second secret location. Then they like gradually like killed off those 100 and kept moving it further and further until it was finally just like hidden away in a place where only 10 people knew where it was. And then those 10 people committed suicide. And that's how the location of the tomb is secret, because everybody who witnessed it, they just killed themselves or killed the other people.
So what you're saying is that he's probably in a field in Scotland.
It's quite possible.
So this is our new project, guys. We're going to locate the tomb of Genghis Khan. And we're going to find out, once and for all, whether he did actually have a lesion to the knee, which might have introduced some bacteria into his system, which therefore killed
Yes,
him.
yes. One of history's great mysteries that we need to solve.
It is actually one of history's great mysteries.
Yes, it is.
Oh, it rhymes!
And kudos to the Skyrim guard who survived the arrow to the knee, because
Oh, God, yeah. He must have had leeches on him.
because at first we thought, oh, big deal, arrow to the knee, well, big whoop, why aren't you back out there fighting? But now that we know that one of like history's greatest warriors and conquerors died of a similar wound, now I need to give this
And
yeah,
rapists.
oh God, yes. He's not a good person. We don't need to like
Not a good person.
we don't need to prop him up. We don't want to lionize Genghis Khan because he's probably really, really bad. But he was pretty strong and he was a fearsome warrior. And this Skyrim guard had a similar wound.
Beat him.
And yeah, he basically beat him. It was a game and he basically won.
He beat out Genghis Khan.
He's tougher than him. So give that Skyrim guard more respect. Don't laugh at him when he says his meme line. Next time you play Skyrim.
I mean, that is just... What if Bethesda had researched and one of the writers on the team had found this ridiculous Marco Polo theory about how Genghis Khan died, and they just decided to slip it in. They didn't intend for it to become a meme. They were just like, huh. It's like what I do when I write things. It's like, I write in things that I think are funny.
Oh, but maybe he didn't think it was funny. Maybe he thought it was a
Exactly.
serious sort of historical
Reference.
reference. Yeah, he's like, oh my God, people are going to love this. It's going to be like a huge like history thing for history buffs, and it's going to be on the top of Reddit. And then it was on the top of Reddit. It was on the front page, but for a different reason, because people were fucking laughing at him. And he got so
Because
sad.
it's a line that got repeated a lot
Yeah,
by guards. If they wanted it to be a neat little Easter egg, they should have just had it being a 1 in 100 chance line.
Yes. This is basically a Shakespearean tragedy. I say this as someone who knows nothing about Shakespeare, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Sounds about right, actually.
The story of the Bethesda writer and history buff. A tragedy in 3 parts.
Well, this shows how much you know about Shakespeare, because Shakespeare's always in 5 acts.
Ah, okay, exactly. Well, good thing I put it out there that I know nothing, so then I don't look stupid
Yeah.
now. I just look correct in that I don't know anything
Stupid.
about Shakespeare.
You've admitted your ignorance, which is fine. But see, hearing you say a tragedy in 3 acts when a lot of my university career was focused on studying Shakespeare, it actually ripped my heart out a
okay.
little.
To be fair, most things are in 3 acts. Most things are in 3 parts. It's just the way it is. We like the number 3.
There's a whole thing about how plays are structured throughout different movements in theatrical history and stuff, but I'm not going to get into that because it's been like 3 years since I studied theatre.
The brain can only remember so much. You need to fill your mind with more Skyrim memes and arrow to the knee jokes than you need to fill it with that historical nonsense, mumbo jumbo.
Are there any more Skyrim memes though. I mean, what? We're 9 years on now.
Oh, that's
pretty
true.
much.
That's true.
We're 9 years on.
And yet 9 years
Almost.
later, you just learned this fact about our Skyrim guard and how great he is. And
I
how
mean,
tough
we
he
just
is.
keep on finding more of it.
See, this is quality podcast content, and that's why we have so many listeners. And so many, in fact, that you actually met one.
Oh my god, it was so good. It was such a good start to the year.
So tell me this story.
So, okay, so basically, everyone who listens to the podcast knows that I work in visitor attractions, I work in heritage and things like that. And I'm currently doing desk work
Oh, okay.
at one of the attractions in Nottingham. And so I was working on a desk, booking people in for these tours. And I'm not going to name names because anonymity, it's not my place to be saying where people are and things like that. But I was booking some people in for tours. This couple comes up, girl and a boy, and they're like, oh, 2 tickets to the caves. And I was like, yeah, sure, da-da-da, da-da-da. And speaking to them because I'm fantastic at my job and I'm really good at customer service and I have a fantastic customer service voice. And the lad there, he was like, I'm really sorry, this is a really weird thing to ask, but I recognise your voice from somewhere. Do you do a podcast? And I was like,
Maybe.
yes. And he was like, with an American guy. And I was like, yes. Is he called Chris Takahashi? And I was like,
Maybe.
yes. And oh my god, it was the nicest thing ever. It felt so good because he was just like, oh my god, I've listened for ages. I used to be a Patreon, and you read out my name at the end of one of the podcasts. And oh my god, it's so weird hearing that voice in real life. And I was like, I've always thought, because I work in like a public facing role, eventually something like this would happen. You know?
Yeah.
Because I talk about my place of work a lot on the podcast and things like that, and I'm very open about where I work, what I do, things like that.
Yeah.
And so I knew eventually it would happen.
Now, are you sure?
But I wasn't prepared for the eventuality of it happening.
I mean, I thought the first person you'd meet would probably be a Russian bot or something. Are you sure he didn't have wires coming out of his neck? I mean, did you check the back of his neck? Maybe he had like a cord
Definitely
coming out.
not. He looked like a human.
So we actually do have human listeners on it. That's very surprising.
Yeah, we do have actual human listeners and actual human fans of the podcast. And it was just such a wonderful thing because we do this weird little thing on the internet.
Yes.
And it's weird and we have a good time doing it, but we mainly do it for ourselves and for our lovely listeners, of course. But it's weird, actually, like you see the view counts and things like that. You see the comments and things, but it's so unusual.
Yes, real life people. It's
to have a real life person saying that.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre. Like, I still can't quite wrap my head around it. Like, my colleague was with me on the desk, and she's heard about how I do Patreon and voice acting and podcasting and things like that. And she was like, "Are you actually famous?" And I was like, "Definitely not." But I never thought that. It sounds weird to say this as a voice actor. I never thought I'd be recognised for my voice.
Yes, your colleague's like, who are you? What are you doing in your free
What
time?
the fuck do you do? I then told her about how I voice cat prostitutes, and that was that.
To be fair, we still don't know if these people are actually human. I think next time it happens, you should splash some water on them, make sure they don't fizz out, make sure they're not actually Russian
I might
bots.
get in trouble with my boss for that, because throwing water on customers is actually a bit of a taboo in the customer service industry.
Yeah, you never know. You just tell them that you thought he was a robot, and your boss will completely understand.
I'm not sure that would work, Chris.
You wanted to make sure.
I'm not sure.
You just never know. We have so many Russian bot followers that you just never know.
Do we actually? Do you think we should have a comb through our media channels and see what's what?
I mean, I think there's a lot of bots, but I'm not sure if they're Russian ones, because otherwise they would be totally just MAGA and in the comments if they were. So.
Oh god, yeah.
So who knows? But yeah, that was exciting. I mean,
it was really fun.
That's never happened to me in real life because, I mean, yeah, I don't leave the house, but it's happened to me on ESO before. It's happened to me on Fallout 76 before, where people.
I know it has, because we were playing. We were playing ESO, and this guy came up to us and was just like, "You're Chris Takahashi, aren't you? You did this mod," and you're just like,
Yes. Run.
Yes.
I think my response was run, but then I was in my chair at home, so it didn't. Yeah.
Oh, I miss ESO.
Yeah.
We should go back to playing it a bit.
Yeah, that and Fallout 76, I think, one time. Because Fallout 76, you can't even change your username. I don't know if you can now, but back then, like, you have to use your handle, so it's like,
Oh. No anonymity whatsoever.
no, no, no. Well, if your handle is anonymous, my handle just happened to not be. But, anyways, yeah, exciting stuff. Famous Alice Bell, famous person in Nottingham.
All I can say is that I'm just very glad that I was wearing my makeup that day because I look like trash when I go into work.
I'm sure you look fine. You look
So I'm glad
fine.
that I left a good impression. At least I hope I left a good
Oh
impression.
no! See, now you're gonna be worried about like, okay, what if somebody comes in this day? What if somebody? You're just gonna go in every day
Oh
looking
God,
dolled
I'm gonna
up.
have to wear I'm gonna have to go into work every day looking like I have big voice acting money.
No, the key is to stop caring what people think, and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You just go in looking like whatever you want.
Oh, I wish. I wish I could do that.
Yes, it's not easy, but that is the
No.
key. It's a very difficult to grab key.
It's like Harry Potter when you're having to go on a broomstick to capture a key. Relatable.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah. But yeah, 2020 starting off with a bang. Are we excited about any games or any releases, or what were we going to talk about?
Well, Cyberpunk was going to be released in April, but apparently that's been delayed.
Oh yes, yes.
To September, which is a long delay.
Well, the thing is, like, it came up on us pretty quick. Like, I didn't expect it to be here this soon. Like, for April to be here this soon. I mean, it's
Well, you say that it came up on us pretty quick, but you've got to bear it in mind that we've been being teased about it since, 2015, 2016? So it didn't feel like it came up on us that quick. But then suddenly, over like the last year, we've been bombarded with it,
yeah.
with its existence. And then it kind of went quiet for a bit, and then there's just been like a short little announcement just say we're delaying, which I'm good with because CD Projekt Red does have like a bad history of crunching their developers.
Yeah, but usually delays lead to more crunch. I don't know. I think it's it's a weird thing to think about.
Or it could be a case of they had the release date in mind with crunch, and because they've had a lot of backlash, they realised that without crunch time, they wouldn't be able to meet that deadline, and so to save their developers' sanity and hopefully avoid any backlash, because it is a big issue in the game industry at the minute, is crunch time. Maybe they thought, right, we'll extend the release date.
Yeah, hopefully.
So that we won't have to be making our developers work 12-hour days or 13, 15, 16-hour days.
And with Polish labor laws, according to this article I'm reading, CD Projekt does pay for overtime. Like, they don't have a choice. They have to.
Yeah.
Where in North America, in the United States, where we have all this freedom, supposedly,
United States.
you don't have to necessarily pay your employees for overtime.
It's the employer's freedom
yes,
to choose
yes,
overtime.
yes. Corporations have rights too, basically. All the rights. But yeah, this article I'm reading says, with very few exceptions, this is on Kotaku, it says, video game delays lead to more crunch, not less. Naughty Dog bumping The Last of Us 2
Really?
from February to May has meant 3 more months of developer overtime at a studio that's well known for workaholism, according to those I've asked about it. And this is an article by Jason Schreier, who's like really connected in the industry. Earlier this week, when The Avengers was delayed from May to September, the developers at Crystal Dynamics may have been relieved, but the crunch will continue even if, as at many studios, it's still called optional. But yeah, he's going into this article that he wrote and basically saying that while it seems kind of intuitive to think that a delay would lead to less crunch, it typically leads to more. Now, it doesn't mean that's the case for CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
And they are getting paid for overtime, which is good. So I don't know Polish labor laws are on that, but it should be time and a half, right? So
Yeah, that's generally what overtime is.
yeah. So we'll see.
Or bank holiday pay, which I don't get.
And that's the thing. I mean, maybe we'll hear stories coming out of CD Projekt Red or leaks that there is no crunch, or maybe because of like the way people have been reporting about crunch lately, that it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be more of a situation where they take their time and developers are not overworked. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. it's not like you don't have to have it this year. It could come out next year. I mean,
I would rather have a quality game that didn't massively detrimentally affect people's mental health and well-being.
and
I would rather wait an extra year for that than...
yeah,
And I think there is an awareness around gamers, especially as we... over the last decade, I think there's definitely a lot more awareness about gamers and mental health and things like that, and crunch time, developers' rights, things like that. It's been the big topic of the 2010s. Like, that's my biggest takeaway from this decade in terms of the video game industry, is that rights are being talked about a lot more.
no.
And I really, really hope that the reason why they've delayed the game is so that it goes easier on the developers. I want to be optimistic about it.
Like, provided you're not like dying from a terminal illness or something and you need to play the game now or you're never going to play it. I think in terms of just, it doesn't matter if I play it in 2020 or 2021. Like, the hours I'm going to put into it are probably going to be largely the same. Like, it's going to either take up a slot of my life next year or this year, but when I start playing, it doesn't really matter all that much in the grand scheme of things, provided I live to see 2021. You never know, you might die. But if you're dead, then, you know, you're not going to even know anything anyway, so you're not going to want for anything, I guess.
And the thing is that they also gave enough notice of the delay. Like, they didn't just delay it for a week. Like a week before the supposed release date. They gave enough notice so that anybody who'd booked off holiday days and stuff could retract it and then move it over to September. So, you know, good on them.
And it'll definitely be good for the game. Like, the game will be better because of it.
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be better. Like, the article says it's not necessarily better for the workers, but it will be better for the game. The game will be more polished as a result. But, yeah.
That's the thing, more time, more polish.
Yeah. Sometimes there's also feature creep. Sometimes, like, a delay will say, hey, now we have more time. Let's put this other thing in. Like that.
Now, what does that remind me of? No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
You remember No Man's Sky?
Yes, I do.
And how it ended up being delayed for 3 months to try and accommodate all the features that they promised. And then they just had to release it in a slightly broken state. But then they continued developing it for free, which is pretty good.
Yeah, free is a
but
good price.
But that's not something. That's not a good model for anyone to be following by any means.
Words to
not
live
a
by.
good model.
Is there anything else coming out this year that you're excited about? Oh, other than Take a Shot.
Bloodlines.
Take a shot.
I've already finished my vodka, Chris.
Every time Alice mentions Bloodlines, you gotta take a shot.
No, that is the main game that I'm interested in, just because I'm excited about it. But
do you have a list?
I think what I'm also excited about is seeing any more news that comes out for other game series that I really enjoy. So with the Witcher TV series, I would not be surprised if we ended up getting an announcement of Witcher 4 being in development.
Like, the numbers on Steam, like, spiked
They've
big
been
time.
at their highest consistently.
Ever since the show came out.
Since the new series came out.
And after I watched it, I did want to dive back into The Witcher, but then I thought, like, the time sink. It's just, I had to resist the urge to play The Witcher again.
Well, the thing is that I've never played a Witcher game before, and I've never read the books, but I've watched 2 episodes of it, and I'm thinking, this is a universe that I could get into. But because
cool.
I've got Witcher 1, Witcher 2, and Witcher 3 all bought, because fucking Steam sales, of course I have. But I've not played them yet. And I think this is like the inspiration that I need to play it.
Yeah, and The Witcher 2 is a good game, but The Witcher 1 is a bit janky, like, so from a gameplay standpoint. So I don't know if you want to play that one.
But I want the whole story.
You don't necessarily need to play Witcher 1 to play Witcher 2 and 3, so I think you should be fine. But yeah. The funny thing is, the games take a lot from the books. They happen after the books, and they take a lot from the books. So
yeah.
You're still going to be missing that, like, sort of, you're still going to have a gap in information anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, when I played it, I hadn't read books or watched the TV series or anything, so, like, Geralt knows who this person is, who that person is, and all the political conflicts and stuff like that. It's actually just, like, it goes a bit over your head because you're not familiar with any of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching the TV shows will help. I would definitely recommend watching the first season, getting that done with, and then maybe even the second season before you dive into the games. But yeah.
I mean, I am really enjoying it because as it currently stands, I feel like any show that can make me cry in the first episode when I don't have the faintest clue as to what the fuck is going on. So, like I said, Virgin to the Witcher series, things like that. Watching that first episode, I am lost. There's so many titles, there's so many kingdoms, there's so many conflicts that I don't understand. And yet, the scene towards the last 15 minutes of the first episode, I was just sat there like crying because I'm a pussy. And I think that was aided a lot by the music. The music was fantastic.
Yes. Spoilers wise, I can't really talk about it. So, yeah, you're going to enjoy it, I think.
I'm really enjoying it. The choreography on the fight scenes as well is very impressive. It's not all cut away like it is with Marvel films and stuff. It's very focused long shots.
The general sentiment is like people love it. There's a lot of memeable stuff, speaking of memes.
Yeah.
And there is some confusion, but...
Called it!
Yeah.
Sorry, I just loved that they put called it into it.
I don't think you've gotten to the parts that like lead to the confusion yet. I wasn't confused. I got it pretty much. What else? Oh, the people who read the books generally have a couple main points of criticism, but yeah, we can't really discuss them here.
Kind of like with Games of Thrones.
Yeah. Don't want to spoil it for you, so.
I still think that one of my favourite lines of television for the last decade is going to be, I could use a bit of fealty right now. Best line. Because the Queen's taking all the fealty pledges and stuff like that. And then the guy behind us like, I could use some fealty.
Yeah.
But
We
like,
all could.
fealty. That is the kind of writing that I love. Because it's stupid.
Yeah, so watch The Witcher if you haven't. Watchmen was something that we were supposed to talk about, but it's been a while, so I've forgotten all of it.
Watchmen is fantastic.
It was very good. They're not going to make a season 2.
No, because the writer stepped away, didn't he?
Yeah, but it should end at season 1. That's a perfect ending for it. It was great.
See, this is the thing with a successful TV show. Networks are always looking to extend it and bleed it dry.
Yes.
With a successful IP. But I think one good season of television is better than 2 good seasons of television and then all downhill from there.
Yeah.
You don't want to outstay your welcome.
It actually...
If you've got a story that you want to tell it.
Yeah. It actually like degrades the value of the original. Like think about the Matrix more or less. Like the Matrix, if it was released as a one-shot movie versus the trilogy release, now watching the first movie kind of makes you sad because you know there's 2 and 3 coming out and they're not as good. But
you say that as if I've watched The Matrix.
But you know what I'm talking about. In general, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of sequels, Last of Us is coming out in May. Excited about that.
I knew that Last of Us 2 hadn't come out yet. I knew it. It feels like it should have been out. Like, it feels like, at this point, it's one of those games that came out last year, but it actually hasn't.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it was announced so long ago that it feels like it should be out by now.
Death Stranding is coming out for PC.
I'm excited to play that. If I can get past the first 30 hours, where apparently it starts to get good.
Another game I've seen a lot of good things about that's out already that will also be coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox is Disco Elysium.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's a text-heavy detective game. I've never really played those top-down RPGs though, so I don't know. I have to get into that, but yeah, it looks like it looks like it's got a lot of funny moments and interesting stuff.
Maybe that could be one to do a live stream of, or a let's play of, seeing as we abandoned the Bloodlines playthrough.
Control was another game that came out last year that got a lot of rewards. Trying to look at next year's list though.
Oh, there's a new Oddworld game coming out this year. Like Abe's Odyssey series. Well, not Abe's Odyssey, that's like a subsidiary of Oddworld. Sorry.
No, so I was going to say...
Psychonauts 2?
What? Oh, Psychonauts 2. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2 is apparently coming out this year. There's 12 Minutes that's coming out this year, which I am very excited for.
Oh, is that the time loop game?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that looked good.
So I'm very excited about that. And then... Watch Dogs Legion. How could we forget about Watch Dogs Legion? It's set in England. It's got a granny in it who's an assassin. How could we forget about that? Well, how could I forget about that? Because I'm an idiot. I'm hoping that we get some big Bethesda news next year.
Probably.
Because it's been all quiet on the Western Front, hasn't it?
Wait, when did they announce Starfield?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was this year.
Let's look that up.
Well, last year, 2019.
No, it had to be before that, right? There's the Starfield announcement.
You know, as you become an adult, and this is something that you've told me for years on the podcast, years just sort of bleed into one.
Yeah. Because there's nothing to mark the time anymore, generally. Anyways, date. 2018 was when they announced Starfield.
Ah.
So it's been 2 years since the announcement. So I don't know how far along they were when they announced it, but they had to be somewhat far along, right? Like they weren't just like starting from scratch and say, hey, let's just announce it to the world, right? There had to be some kind of development.
Yeah.
So 2 years from that. So what are the odds you think of Bethesda making an announcement or of a release date this year at E3 or something?
Well, they released the teaser trailer for for Elder Scrolls 6 last year, and it was it last year? No, it was the year before. I don't know, when was the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser released? Oh my god, I'm getting so old!
That was the same as Starfield, I think, so.
2018. And it's been a projected release date in the fan community for 2021, 2022.
For
So
Starfield, right? Not Elder Scrolls.
no, for the next Elder Scrolls game.
That. There's no way.
That's what I've seen in the fan community.
Well, if they're working on both simultaneously, maybe, but not if they're working on one and then moving to the other.
No.
If they're working,
it depends on how they're internally working.
yeah. If it's stacked, then I would say Starfield is a 2021 or 2022 release. If they announce it this year, like usually you announce it, the release date, and then it actually comes out the following year. Like there are some exceptions,
Yeah.
like Fallout 4, they like announced it and then they fucking released it that year. It was pretty cool. Like it was like it's coming out soon.
Bam, bam, bam.
I think this time it's gonna probably be a year ahead of time. So if they announce it, yeah, I'd say there's a decent chance. Like knowing nothing, I'd say 50-50 chance they really announce it.
I mean, I really want a big announcement from Bethesda. I'd want it to be Elder Scrolls because I've already got a concept going in my head. I don't even know what the game's going to be about. I don't know where it's going to be set or anything like that. But I've got a concept for a character in my head that I need to play.
Oh, okay.
I want to see how the Almeri Dominion storyline finishes.
Oh, we're talking about Elder Scrolls. I thought we were talking about Starfield.
No. Elder Scrolls.
Because they're going to announce Starfield. Okay, how about I pitch you a concept for a Starfield character?
Okay. Hit me.
A fan of a podcast who is actually secretly a Russian bot.
Oh my god, it's so genius. Oh my god.
And cyborgs are going to be common, I think, in the world of Starfield in space. So there you go. All right, so...
You know what I really want from next year? More history games.
Okay, yeah.
I hope that in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2...
I'm already drunk,
you can
Alice.
go around a history museum and you can just read history
about the vampires.
Because Seattle's got a very interesting history.
A history of
and
vampires.
I want to just... I would like to pitch it to the studio.
Historically
I would like
accurate.
to go around a museum and I would like to look at a virtual recreation of whatever the most important museum is in Seattle. Thank you.
Yes, Seattle, historically known for their bloodsuckers.
Well, I mean, it does have the pioneers and, capitalism and shit
that's
like
true.
that.
True. Anyways, I think there's a chance they'll announce, like, details about Elder Scrolls. Like, it won't just be a fucking video of nothing, like a video of mountains like it was last time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't expect a release date or anything. I think they're gonna announce a release date of Starfield, or at the very least, like, give us some fucking details, because that Starfield announcement was just like a fucking station in space. It was nothing. It was a big nothing burger too. So yeah, I think we'll get something. We'll get a little taste. Completely speculative.
I hope so.
But yeah, 2020, hopefully it's going to be a good year for us. You're going to meet a lot of your fans.
Hopefully.
Yes. They're all going to come. So go visit Alice at the Heritage Museum, whatever it's called.
There's not that many in Nottingham.
Yes.
You'll find me.
Just try them all. Donate to a good cause. History.
But yeah, I think what we should do now is we should look back on the previous decade. So out of all of the games that have come out from 2010 through to the end of 2019, what is the game that you feel has had the most impact on you?
Easily Skyrim.
It has had a lot of impact on you, I'll give you that.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's gonna be Skyrim.
No question. You've got a full fucking fan base.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, I don't want to copy your answer. Because if it wasn't for Skyrim, we wouldn't be doing this. When was that I started doing voice acting for you?
I don't know, but it has to be Skyrim,
2013. It is, in terms of impact, it is Skyrim.
Yeah, it's not like there was another vampire game that came out in last decade,
No,
so it's gotta
there
be
were
Skyrim.
a couple of vampire games that came out last decade, but they were shit.
So there you go. Skyrim is kind of like a vampire game. You have the whole Dawnguard DLC. There you go. It's just, it counts.
But in terms of like games that you enjoyed or you thought like had the most impact on the decade, maybe?
On the deck, you mean like influential in the larger cultural sense?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I mean, do you have one?
South Park.
South Park?
Yeah, South Park's the truth.
It's an interesting choice.
It's a real good fucking game. It's a really good game. It's really fun. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are doing everything in their stride at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it was critically acclaimed. I don't know if it had like an influence on the industry or just like gamers as a whole.
I think it had an influence on comedy and how you can portray comedy in video games. Maybe the Stanley Parable, actually. I retract. Stanley Parable.
Oh, there you go.
Because it was just so odd and it completely twisted what your narrative could be. Like, it wasn't the most technically proficient game by any means. Like, it was literally built in that same Half-Life engine
And this,
as everything
yeah,
else
and this
is.
decade or the prior decade was like the decade of like indie games and
Yeah.
sort of the rise of them against the, like, you know, people start favoring them more than the AAA like big publishers, which started catching a lot of flack. So yeah, I can see that. There you go. That's a good choice. We'll go with that.
Because it was just so fun and so stupid, but at the same time, it was just really thoughtful and it did something completely different.
No.
So I'd say that. So, in terms of games that you think has had an influence, what do you think?
No, I'll go with your answer. Stanley Parable. There we go.
Undertale was pretty influential as well.
Yeah, Undertale. I like that.
Walking Dead, the series that single-handedly rose and killed
Telltale.
Telltale Games at once in the last decade. Like, when did the first Walking Dead season come out?
Ugh, I don't know. I have no
Was
concept
it like
of time.
2012, something like that?
I have no concept of time, so
One sec. let me
Skyrim
just
still
look.
feels like it came out a few years ago.
So the first episode of Walking Dead was released in 2012, and that was a very influential game. It inspired a lot of other sort of clones and decision makings where your decisions don't really make any difference. But it also inspired the rise and fall of Telltale Games. So I think I want to see an in-depth video on the rise and fall.
Yeah, I don't know
Telltale
if that
Games.
is an endorsement for something being influential. If that
was
genre
influential 'cause
basically
it
crashed.
It
It's like the fidget spinner of
It
video games.
influenced the genre, it rose its prominence, and then it crashed an entire genre. What more could you ask from it? Oh, I've apparently got 47 out of 48 achievements on it. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I don't think going forward that's the best example. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say, but I'll go with whatever you said. So there we go. Most
Okay,
influential
there we go.
games of
I
the past
have
decade.
fantastic opinions. There we go.
All right, so that is all for our first episode, 2020. And like I said again,
It's
be
been
sure
lovely
to
speak
stop
to you
by
again, Chris.
your local heritage museum and say hi to Alice. She
Please
really
do.
appreciates it.
It would make me happy.
Just make sure
I do
that
really
she's
appreciate
looking
it.
great before
Yeah.
you go say hi.
If I don't look
Which is
great, then
always.
just, forget about me. Forget that you met me. It's fine. Because I'm vain.
Talk to you next week.
1 second, I'm going to sneeze. Ow. I sneeze. See you later.